Good
Hey,
morning, Renee.
security peeps. Hey, good morning, Jamie. Good morning, security peeps. We are live with another episode of Breaking into Cybersecurity, but this time we are doing our awesome Hot Jobs series. And I am here with Mr. Jamey Hanson from AWS. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, good morning, Renee. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. So we are excited today. Again, I'm Renee Small, cybersecurity super recruiter, helping awesome leaders like Jamie hire great talent. And Jamie is here for a number of reasons. One, we are going to, as we usually do, go over his background, learn about how he got to where he is in the cybersecurity space. And then what the next thing we are going to do is getting to the most exciting part of the series today, which is the hot jobs, because
Yeah,
Jamie has a slew of open positions he needs to
we got
fill.
jobs and we got more in the pipeline. We need
Right.
folks with mad skills. We'll get to it, but there's the opportunities are
Hashtag
high.
mad skills. Hashtag mad skills. So, Jamie, I'm going to start off by asking you, tell me, I know you have a background in the military,
Yes,
talk to me about how you even got into the cybersecurity space. How'd you get to this
sure.
point in your career?
Sure. Well, this is a solid plan B for me, I hate to confess. I started out in the Air Force. I went Air Force Reserve. And the good thing, and a plug for this, they told me I had to major in something technical. So I did, and it turned out it helped. But anyway, I was a C-130 flyer in the reserves, lost my flight physical, so I had to get a new career. I went back to get a master's in information systems, and from there I was off to the races. Uh, First path was actually as an Oracle application developer. Dove into cybersecurity there. They have a product, Oracle Label Security, that does attribute-based access control, or ABAC. That was my first sort of foray. Did that for a bit. Then I joined Cloudera because I realized, hey, Hadoop at the time was also super hot. And while working with Cloudera, we added Kerberos as the external identity provider. Both of those pieces sort of got me working across the enterprise with external identity providers, with external information providers, and that's sort of the core of the cybersecurity. From Hadoop, I joined AWS, and honestly, our team right now is all about helping these DoD customers migrate their application to the cloud. But the cybersecurity piece is we still have to play nice with their whole corporate infrastructure. So there's a lot of rules, external services that we have to know, we have to integrate with, and that's really from my team's perspective, that's their core cybersecurity skills.
Sweet.
So I hope that helped.
No, it definitely helps. It gives us a kind of an overview of who you are, because one of the things that I know as a person who's been recruiting for a long time is people want to know who they're working for, who they're working with, who they're going to be in the team with.
Yeah.
And the kind of background that you've come from and some of your team members have come from is very, very helpful when it comes to making a decision as to,
Yeah.
is this the type of person? Jamie looks like a really nice guy. Is this the type of person that I would want to work with? So
Can I touch on that a little bit?
Yes,
That
please.
one of the things on AWS, we're a tough company to get into, rewarding, well worth it, but we're not the easiest one. And so my philosophy has always been, one, nobody can't get another job, so they come to AWS. Everyone who chooses to join our team and sort of be all in, we have other options. So we got to be good. We got to be really good, and we got to let people showcase and take advantage of their talents, because everyone's got choices. And this is a two-way street. I know sort of what skills and experiences and mindset and voracious appetite to learn we need. But people out there know, what's your career ambition? What are you looking out for? And when you get that match, that's when people can really thrive. And that's what we're looking for. This isn't a default, I couldn't get a gig elsewhere, come to AWS. This is absolutely, I got options, but I also got skills, and I want to be at the top of this heap. That's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. And I think we all know how difficult it is to get into AWS. So I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah, it can be a little, yeah.
I have been, it's funny, a funny little mini story. I've been on the other side trying to poach people out of AWS, and it never works. It's very, very seldom that I remember a few years ago, this person said, I don't know what you could tell me to have me, look at other opportunities. And I thought, wow, what a company that, a person would have that level of, want to be in that environment that I couldn't tell them anything. And I'm pretty good at what I do. So.
Fact. So anyway, we do have, there are people who move in and out, but anyway, another thing that we'll get to later on is that the advantage, or one of the neat things about AWS, and this would be true with another cloud provider as well, is that these are the same skills that we apply to our DoD customer as are on the commercial side. So sort of to put it clearly, whatever a person's career path and ambitions hold, these skills are relevant. You can't envision a scenario where it does not help you to have AWS skills and experience on your resume and in your experience. And, we recognize that a lot of people view this as an avenue within the IC, within supporting the U.S. Department of Defense. And a lot of people want to say they want to update their skills to make sure they remain hella relevant, whatever their career choices come. And our team supports that as well.
So I have a question for you. I'm glad that you talked about that. I know some people who are interested, but they are looking to up-level their skills. They may not have everything that you're looking for on the job descriptions. What would you say to those folks? Because sometimes what we know that in our industry, technical people tend to be black and white. Like if they don't have the experience, they may not apply. So what would you say to someone who is either on the cusp, or they may be new to the industry, they have the clearances or what have you, they might be, they're interested, they want to move forward, but they're concerned because the job description says, a lot of skills that they may not have?
Yeah, great question, Renee. Great question. And I want to start with sort of not to bury the lead here, but it's going to end with please apply. So what we're looking for, a couple things, and nobody has all of these. So I just want to be clear. I have the luxury, since we have so many positions, of hiring best athletes, sort of the best combination, but nobody has all of this stuff. But just sort of, you need familiarity with the DoD security controls, NIST 853 security and privacy controls. So, understanding authority to operate and what it's like to work in a DoD environment, you have to have some of that. You need some development experience, ideally Python, but it could be some other language. You're not going to be a hardcore hands-on developer, but we use AWS services basically to automatically remediate, to do something, to escalate when a security incident occurs. And you need enough development skills to get Amazon services to do what you want them to do when something happens. That's really the standard. Could you get Amazon, can you bend it to your will? With code. Next thing is infrastructure as code skills. We don't work from the console very much. In the cloud world, that's CloudFormation, CDK, the Cloud Development Kit, Terraform, which is sort of vendor agnostic, super useful there. If you don't have a lot of those, same thought process if you're using Ansible or Puppet. And then I guess one final one is familiarity with the cloud. Can be AWS, can be Azure, can be Google Cloud, any of them. There's enough similarities in the concepts. So that's sort of, if I could dial up a person with every darn thing, it's those. Real people don't. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have all that when you show up. So step one is, that's not a requirements list. That's an ideal, that's a rainbow or a unicorn. What we're looking for is someone with a voracious appetite and a self-starter for learning. So if you feel like what I described is a lot of your interests, but not necessarily everything you had, get a free account. Doesn't cost much, to do this, but get a free Amazon account. Get a free, Azure account, whatever you want to. And there's lots of online training providers. AWS has free things, Coursera, Linux Academy, A Cloud Guru. I'm vendor agnostic, a lot of great providers, but they're also cheap. They're like $25. So the short answer is, if you want to get started in this field, dive in, get a free account, start playing around. And that way, when you come to an interview, when you come to an interview, you can talk to the people about what you're working on. What worked like you thought it would work, what didn't work like you thought it would work, what you thought was easy turned out to be complicated in the other ways. What things that sounded like it was new, but turns out, no, that's a concept we used in Ansible or Puppet, but it's got a different word in AWS. Bring all that. I guess in summary, don't let this laundry list of everything we want scare you from applying. But before you apply, get your free account and start learning, because that's what we do every day here at work. And that'll make you feel like, you're an Amazon. Is every day I come in and I got to learn something. Learning. And I guess a final thing I want to include, and I know there's it's a cliche, but it means it. For women and lots of other, basically, we need all kinds of people, because this is a hard challenge and we need new ideas. And don't let this big piece intimidate. Just don't. Dive in. You got mad skills, that voracious appetite, learn and apply and listen to feedback. And in terms of the application process, I'm a hiring manager, so I'm not at liberty to discuss all the pieces, but rest assured, Google isn't. So I humbly suggest Google the holy heck out of the Amazon process, so it's not a surprise to you when you start and you can prepare. Anyway, I hope that. Yeah, I hope that answers some of the questions. I'm sorry. We don't have labor categories. So for a lot of folks who are used to applying for a job for the US DoD and you need this many years at this version of this particular, we have a blended rate for our contract. So with that, again, it allows us best athlete. If somebody is just a really expert at NoSQL databases and cybersecurity or DevOps or any of these other things, we have the luxury of, we have enough open positions. We want to give folks a good look. We don't have a cookie cutter that we're looking for everybody. We want a team that has just a really big set of skills, cybersecurity foundation, and that's what we're looking for. So anyway, I encourage people to apply. And I really encourage people, get that free account, get your $25 online training or your free online training, and just start. Just flat out start.
That's fantastic, Jamey. I love the the overview, what a person should look for, or what, like to not be intimidated, because we do see that people say, well, like you said, it's a unicorn job description, or it's a description like we would love that if everyone had everything, but you didn't have everything. And the first thing I want to ask you is that you made that point, and I think in the conversation that may have been missed, that when you started, you didn't have all of these varying skills, but you were voracious and you had the right appetite and you went and looked and did the research. And so I just want to be sure that people kind of understand where you started. That's why we always start with, where did the person start? How did they get to where they are today? Because nobody is born, top of the top. Nobody is born a cloud guru, right?
Fact. So I'll give you an example of things that were completely new to me. Was infrastructure as code. Never used CloudFormation, never used any of that stuff. I thought naively at the time, I had played around with the console and I thought that's how we did business. Turns out that isn't. You want to script everything for a whole host of reasons. It's just better security, better everything. So that was, for me, that was a completely new thread and topic that I had to add into. I also didn't have much CI/CD experience. I had been in some ways a bit of a lone wolf working in an isolated project. So those were two areas where I was late to the party. But I had enough other skills and other strengths that Amazon took me on. And that's why I invite other folks to do. And I pestered the holy heck out of my teammates to try and get up to speed as best I could on those things. And our team is very supportive of that. We'll answer everything. One of the jokes we have inside, the only cost is you have to show us something that didn't work. And as long as you showed us that you tried, we'll bend over backwards to help you learn. We really will.
That's fantastic. And you said, see, I try not to, when we have acronyms, I try to spell it out, especially when I don't know. You said ISDD, CISCD?
Oh, I'm sorry. The CIC, that's
Oh,
continuous
CICD
integration.
continues.
Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah,
I think
continuous
most people
integration
know.
and continuous development. And actually, that's a good point. So before, my experience in the government was you build an application, and once a quarter or once every few months, you have a ginormous release, and maybe you work late that evening or come in on a Saturday, and it's a big hairy deal. And it turns out that's really not a great way to develop. It goes slow. So now it's a little bit of changes almost all the time. That's this CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development. It was a new mindset to me. That was, again, one of the things I didn't have when we start. And it's super critical. And by the way, that applies to the cybersecurity controls, logging, and all the things. But really, that's just a mindset for everything in the cloud.
Right. So a couple people who are, Steve Upshaw, he's awesome. I always try to shout out anybody that's been with us, even newbies and older folks. When I say older, like people who've come on these podcasts often. And Steve is one who said great advice when you were talking about learning the basics, building on the foundation, getting the free, getting the free, getting access to the free tools.
Yeah.
And playing around so that when you show up, I felt like I was hearing myself when you said that, because we would tell the folks trying to break in all the time, like, hey, play around so that when you get to the interview, you know what you're talking about because you actually did it. They're not looking for you to have, especially people who are really new. I know most of your roles are seasoned, but for the folks who are really new, when you are interviewing, as Jamey said, he's the hiring manager. If you can just show that, hey, I was in my home lab, this is what I did, this is how I played around with this is what I found out, that is experience. And
Yes.
Sometimes they don't understand that that's experience at that, stage. So just wanted to share that. Hey, Steve. And then Renee Taylor, I reached out to her yesterday from your team. I was like, what? Another Renee in technology recruiting?
And by the way, she's awesome too. So it must be something.
well, I said that. I said to her, I said, you must be awesome. You've got to be awesome. So Renee says, if anyone wants to chat more about Jamey's roles, feel free to reach out to her. She drops her email address or DM her on LinkedIn for more information. So again, Jamey has so many positions, and we'll jump into those at this point and kind of talk through all the different roles that you have, or the high level skill sets that you're looking for, because, sometimes when positions are posted, they're all in this, they're all in the LinkedIn, and then they'll be in the show notes as well. All of the open positions. So are the ones that are current, but Jamey says there's other ones coming in the pipeline. Yep. So Jamey, do you want to talk about, the first one I pulled up was the first one, which is like the cloud consultant, which they're all kind of similar. It seems like to an extent.
The only thing, before I jump into that, we're actually looking for people with all different experience levels.
Okay.
And again, that's part of, we need a fully fleshed out team. We don't want clones of each other in category or experience. I'm a veteran, but I don't want all my team to be veterans. So we're looking for different experience levels, different points in a person's career as well.
Well, that's good. Really good to know. So go ahead.
Absolutely.
Jump in.
So in terms of you broke the code on the position. They're actually, the description, it's reviewed by our corporate policy that, the description are kind of generic. And I've changed the title because we're trying to catch more great candidates on this one. So what I'll describe is what the jobs are. Honestly, it doesn't really make much difference which particular position you apply to. This is really what we're looking for. And I'll start with the pure cybersecurity ones. And our cybersecurity, some of those pieces, we actually have sort of 3 different things that our cybersecurity experts do. One of them, we have a crazy cool zero trust demonstration environment that we're building to show off zero trust capabilities of Amazon. We've showed this, actually, our team met with the DoD CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, to demonstrate this. So we're building this environment. We have to create these fake or representative loads to show off the stuff. So our cybersecurity folks are building zero trust environment. We're building, so our customer in Maryland is migrating to the cloud, but they need security controls. They have Amazon organizations that have, access control policies, all sorts of different security controls that layer on top of each other. And they're asking us, hey, this is complicated. Show me how this is going to work when it's all said and done. So we have cybersecurity building those systems, building something to aggregate the logs and things like that. And then the third skill we're looking for is to help these application developers and people who are re-architecting be more secure. So our cybersecurity team reviews the code that our developers are making to make sure it meets the standard, to make sure that it follows our best practices. And as new things come out, to make sure that we're using them quickly. So those are the zero trust, build the customer controls for their secure environment, and help our developers be more secure. Those are three things that we want our cybersecurity experts, those are basically three different sort of focus areas that our cybersecurity experts will be doing. So,
okay, perfect. So that's the first. So reiterate just at a high level, the top three skills.
Sure. Building an environment that demonstrates zero trust capabilities. So, and we show this off because people are all across the government and actually all across the industry are interested, but they want to see it. They don't want to hear about it. They want to say, log in and look at this. That's what we're building. That's one. Two, when the government migrates an application from on-prem to the cloud, it needs on day one all the access control requirements, the logging requirements, the escalation. There's a whole bunch of things that need to automatically come to that. So we build behind the scenes what's going to allow the government to say, hey, when you get an account on Amazon, it comes with all this stuff. We got to build all this stuff. That's the second piece. And then the third is a cybersecurity expert to help our developers build more secure, to enforce that the code that the rest of our team delivers meets all the standards. We don't have overprivilege. We don't have sort of things that aren't going to get authorization to operate. It's our cybersecurity people to do an internal review and sometimes coaching to help. So those are the three areas.
Okay, perfect. So, and Jamey, you also shared that, again, I just want to reiterate this because people may look at the job descriptions and then see that it says 8 years and multiple years of experience. You're looking for people at all varying levels.
Absolutely. Our team has flexibility in the actual hiring decisions. We had gone through that list before. So as many things as we can have on that list, but nobody has them all. As long as you have this voracious appetite and you want to learn, we're looking for everyone. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jamey.
Again, sort of everything from people who are accomplished speakers and go to conferences, and we would call those in this sort of influencers and thought leaders, to people who, maybe they were in the military, maybe they weren't, but who just caught the bug and they decided they want to be all in the cloud. They see this as a career defining set of skills and journey, and they're all in, but they're early in career. We want those two folks and everyone in between.
Got it. And though I know all of the roles that you shared with me, you do need a clearance. Can you be clearable, or you have to already have this? And you have to have the level that you're looking for.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to have the clearance. We're at the Maryland customer. I have some colleagues, and I'll pass on the baton to them, or I'll tell you all about them, who are in Virginia. We're in Maryland. You unfortunately have to have the clearance. Now, some people are in the military who have slightly lower, just because the rules are particularly different. We're happy to talk to those folks, but we really are looking for the clearance. It's always a catch, and you found it, Renee.
Yes, because I got questions. I mean, the wonderful aspect about talking to you today is AWS is one of those companies that everyone wants to get into. And well, I won't say everyone, but a lot of people are interested, right? Very, very interested. And so some of the questions that I was getting from folks are, do you have, this is my level of clearance. So I have a TSSCI, I don't have the poly, I have a CI, I don't have the, like all of those different questions. And I told them, because some folks are currently working, so they can't put something in the chat, right? So they don't want to.
Well,
so I said I would ask for a friend, which is true. I am asking for a friend.
I have a friend of mine who has a,
right. Asking for a friend is the one, and so you're answering saying it has to be exactly as posted.
For my positions, because that's my position. We support the Annapolis Junction, Maryland customer. That's all we do. We wake up in the morning. They've made a great investment in upgrading and migrating their capabilities to the cloud. They've chosen Amazon. That's my team. Now, Renee Taylor, she has insight into lots of positions across Amazon. So I think Renee Taylor is probably, I care about my little neck of the woods because I'm all in.
Yeah.
Renee has she has a broader view of what's available in the rest of Amazon. And I do have colleagues who have, equivalent needs in Virginia.
Okay.
We wake up with Old Bay and we go to bed with crab cakes. We are all Maryland. That's what we do.
I need to come visit. That's my favorite food. Okay,
good.
So Rose is asking, are there any roles and opportunities for someone that graduated in 22 with a degree in cybersecurity?
So Amazon does have a bunch of roles for very early career. And it depends on the person. My team has hired people very early in career. We also have had, we had a technical development program. We had some other things. So the short answer is I haven't in the past. The positions the ones that I have open at this very moment in time require a little bit of experience. Reach out to Renee. And I hate to say this, but it is play the long game. So in other words, I'm going to be hiring because our customer is all in on migrating to the cloud. They want the mission capabilities that come with being cloud-based. And this is a multi-year piece. So if you don't have something today, Rose, or Renee doesn't have right now, play game, say, keep my number. I'll be back in 24 months. I'll be back in 18 months. During that time, get a cert, show up at our things. So, play a bit of the long game on that one. If you don't get him, if we're not able to scratch the itch immediately, we're not going anywhere. We are long-term in Maryland. And if we don't need you now, if you have the appetite and you want to learn and you're committed, we'll need you soon.
Right.
Here's one story quick.
Of course.
I told you earlier, I joined Cloudera so I was doing Oracle database stuff and Hadoop was then big data was the thing. I didn't get in the first time. It took me a whole year. So I got turned on in my first loop and it, no offense, but it sort of PO'd me. It made me really mad, but I turned that into, I'll show those jabrones. And I did, and I got on and it worked. So,
great story. We hear that all the time. We hear it all the time. The first shot, you may not get in. The second go around, come back around. And as I keep putting up Renee Taylor's info here. She has tons of roles and partners. So she supports Jamey, but also has other roles. I can only imagine. I used to be a Renee Taylor in my former life. So I know what it's like having multiple Jameys on deck. So reach out to her. Chris Moore, one of my favorite people. Yeah. He says, if you've had a clearance before, but not currently, is that good? So
typically, and again, I'm not a clearance expert, but this is in general, if you've been out for less than 24 months, we can likely put you right back in. If it's been more than 24 months, then it's case by case basis. And I don't have the expertise to follow that. So I'm in my hiring, that's really what it is. You have to find, has it been more than 24 months?
24 months. Okay.
And for a special for people who are looking, they've been out for 18 months. Tempest is fugiting, time is ticking. So jump on that. That not just for us, but it matters to try and keep that clearance current.
Yes.
Sort of in this environment.
Andrew Mullen says he's reaching out later today. Andrew, let us know how it goes.
Outstanding, Andrew. I love it.
Yes. Reach out to Jamey too.
We love it. We have yes, absolutely.
So Steven said, answer his question too, because he has a secret, or he asked if can an active secret be upgraded. So I guess that's a little bit different though than the last question, because the last question said it was expired. This one is it's active. Can it be would you all upgrade?
Probably not from a secret right off the bat. Now, I do want to point out, Amazon supports the entire Department of Defense. So, we always joke that we're in our little cocoon or our little bubble, and we are. But Amazon and Renee Taylor supports the entire Department of Defense, and they have jobs with secret clearance. It's just not my neck of the woods.
Right.
And a lot of those are in Virginia and in the district.
Yep. Okay.
So,
awesome. And then Claudia Trail.
Short answer is probably not my specific team, but absolutely others.
Okay. Claudia says, great job, Jamey. I don't know if you know her.
Oh, shoot. I hope we didn't run into.
You hope you didn't do what? Are you there?
Sorry, Renee. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I apologize. As I said, I'm in Missoula, Montana right now. So.
Oh, yes. Melvin Locke says, great information. And Steven says his TS is expired.
Okay.
So he had a secret, but that one is expired. So
that's one of those specific cases, because we'd want to find out, is your single scope background investigation still valid? And every time I think I know everything about clearances, someone who's a true personnel security expert says, no, you don't. So that's a question to refer to the experts. But Renee Taylor is your gateway drug to that space.
Yes. And I'm going to put her info up again.
Thank you.
Renee Taylor. Let me find her. So this is Renee Taylor, my twin. So she has her information up here. Reach out to her, connect with her on LinkedIn, DM her, and she will answer all of the questions that are needed, and for you to, see if an opportunity would be a good fit, or where you could potentially fit, where it could be a potential fit. So, Jamey, you talked about the CyberJobs. That was the first batch. So do we want to go now into the next batch of roles?
I'd love to, because we got a lot.
You have a lot.
Yeah, we do. That's the beauty. The opportunity is large and our needs are great. So one whole thread is cybersecurity. Another name I just dropped in the chat is Gabe Alix. He is a colleague of mine in Virginia, so he has some. So that's one. Another thread is database experts. And I don't just mean Oracle or relational, but also, Amazon has 10 plus types of database. So someone who has the skills to say, hey, I've worked with a NoSQL, maybe a graph database or a OpenSearch or any of the other pieces, but somebody who we could say to the customer, hey, let me look at the load or the application or the demand you have, and I'll tell you why I think this database would be a great choice for you. So someone who has skills across a bunch of different ones and has the ability to make recommendations, and then implement whatever the customer chooses. So a database expert with experience in multiple databases. So you could architect and design as well as execute. Big skills on that one. So that's one piece. We also have positions for people who have mad container skills. So Kubernetes is what our customer has settled on for container orchestration, but containerization, migrating things to containers, orchestrating containers, using containers in the cloud, blending containers where some of your application is in the cloud, some of it is on-prem, hybrid, all those architectures, customer absolutely has a use for. We use on the edge. It's common if the customer wants something on the edge, we'll containerize it. And so containerization with Kubernetes as the orchestration layer, that's a whole realm. That's a set of expertise in and into itself. We need container experts and Kubernetes experts. And then the final I'll go back to is this continuous integration, continuous development. And it's sisters or twin apps. That's DevOps. There's DevSecOps. So development, building in security. DevFinOps, developing with this whole, the customers never had to think about cost. Well, now when you design something, you have to think about cost because, prior to this, it was all free. Once you paid for it, you own it. So we have DevFinOps. So these are all variations of this continuous integration, continuous development pipeline, but a little sizzle on it. DevSecOps, DevFinOps, and things like that. Because the customer, again, remember we had told that they're getting away from this every 4 months we do a ginormous upgrade to continuous. That's a different mindset. And you have to know not just the technology, but you have to show teams how to do it. You have to teach people how to do it. So those are the database, containerization, and DevOps and all its flavors.
So Jamey, I love that you, I learned something new every single time I do one of these shows. I had never heard of DevFinOps.
Mm-hmm.
So the Fin stands for financial? DevFinOps? Can you hear me?
Yes. So it's fairly new.
Okay.
And basically it's considering how much something is going to cost as you design it.
Wow.
So from the customer side, there's a lot of suspicion, cloud's priced differently, and no surprise, you can screw it up. So you can run up a bill pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what we're trying to teach, and really it helps everybody involved, is think about the cost as you're designing the application. And from the customer side, the bill could be big, but it should never be a surprise. You should know what you're building, what your services expense is likely to be. Maybe not exactly, but what it's likely to be early in the process. And that's really what we're getting into, because this is an area there's a lot of FUD, this fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And so that's part of what we're trying to do. And that's a completely new muscle for the customer. Never, power, space, and cooling were free. All that stuff was free. So they never had to think about it. Well, I think a lot of value in the cloud because the total bill is less and it reflects your mission, but you have to care a lot more about it than you used to. And that's DevFinOps.
Right. So mad skills. I'm going to hashtag mad skills after this because I love that. So we have the cybersecurity skills, we have the database experts, which is so interesting that, I don't think people immediately think of database, but it's always involved, right? So
absolutely.
Database skills, and you said agnostic, so it could be any kind of database.
Yeah, but it does have to be more than one.
Okay.
So, and again, that's because there's more choices and the customer's looking to us as experts, not just we know how to integrate or to migrate, but we know which ones or why you would choose one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Perfect. And then container skills. So we have the mad container skills. So we have Kubernetes and then the other ones with that. And then we have CI/CD. So your continuous integration, continuous development. So that pipeline. So DevSecOps. And then this newbie, DevFinOps, which now you're sending me to do some research because that's pretty cool. I mean, I literally learn something every time I'm on one of these, which is fantastic because I want to know also what's happening in the marketplace. So that's very, very cool. So are there any, go ahead.
No, those are the three sort of areas that we're looking for.
Okay. And is there anything else when you say like any other particular skills, anything that you would say,
Yeah.
these type of people fit great in my team,
Yeah.
not, from a skill set, you
So,
talked about the energy, you talked about the appetite,
so a couple things. I'm encouraging, don't let Python scare you. We're not asking everyone to be a great, a high level 400 development expert. But in the cloud, for instance, a Lambda, an automated response to something, there'll be a little bit of Python that has to go in there. So it's super common for people who have these other skills to not have any Python skills. And that's a challenge. Take a class. Lots of great books. I bought a book. I have one over here. It's dog-eared, whether it's 100 Days of Python. There's lots of great vendors. So that's one. It's not saying we're going to make you a full hardcore developer, because we're not. But there are lots of places in the cloud where you have to put pieces of code to get this stuff. So that's one. Could be another language. Python's the default and the easiest. So start that. And then the other infrastructure is code. All of us start our cloud journey on the console, but really the high level is all of it is scripted. So, nobody except maybe a demonstration or something is on the console. So those are the two things that I see both in my team, myself, and the people we hire. It's just those jobs haven't required some bit of Python development or some bit of infrastructure as code. And the infrastructure as code, the exceptions are there's some people with really great Ansible and Puppet skills, and there's a big analogy on that. But those are the things that, in general, it's super common for people to have to spend, go to Udemy, go to Linux Academy, go to whatever one of those, plop down $20. The beauty is right now, it doesn't actually cost very much to learn. It costs time, but there's a lot of great courses and they don't cost much.
That's real. That really is the beauty right now. We have Jax, another favorite of mine, Stephen Upshaw, all these people. I miss you all so much. So never ending learning, love it. So they are, they come here to the podcast, learn about new things. So it's great. So I had another question for you. I'm curious. So infrastructure as code, can you explain that? Can you
Sure.
explain what that is?
Absolutely. So let's envision we had some of these experts. We had somebody who had sort of a DynamoDB database and an Aurora relational database out there, and they had some containers and they're orchestrated with. So all these skills, and they built an application, or they're migrating it on-prem. Well, you want to do that all in a script, because that way you can write the script in your development environment, say that it works, and run the exact same script in production. It reduces errors. It means it's the same piece. You can also check in this script and this code into your GitHub or your code repository so that other people can see it. You can merge it. You can work together. All those things are really hard to do if everybody's at the console. So really the direction is when the customer, when you deliver something to the customer, you're delivering it as a script or infrastructure as code. And then the other piece is when you need to change it, because we had talked about earlier, there's always something new. Nothing's going to stand still. As soon as you release it, the next week, there'll be something new is upgraded or a new capability. That means you only change that piece of the script. You don't have to rebuild the whole application. And that, again, system administrators, especially on the Linux side, are very familiar with this. They do it Ansible, Puppet, and things like that. But those concepts are now brought to everywhere. And not the challenge, but the normal progression, again, myself absolutely included, is we learn on the console. I call them happy clickers. I was a happy clicker. I'm clicking all over the console, getting my stuff in there. That's how you learn, because you see it, you get great feedback. But in production and at the full what we're deploying to the customer, what you've clicked, you're going to put in code. You're going to check it into your repository, and you're going to deploy it from the repository without touches. So anyway, that's
so cool. Learn something new every single day. Okay, so Jack says, "Oh, Chris, my podcast co-host, where are you today?" He says, "Love the advice, Jamey." And Jack says, "Thanks for the shout out." Absolutely, Jax, you're awesome. So Jax is saying to Mark, it's challenging to get a clearance, but he's found that many people have been able to get a clearance through a consulting job. You can work for a consulting firm, and then when the contract lands a federal contract that requires clearances, sometimes the client will sponsor the contractors. So he's witnessed it many times. So, again, being strategic and kind of aligning a little bit to what you said, Jamey, earlier, play the long game, right? So you may not be able to get right into what Jamey has going on, but it could be going this route that Jax is talking about, or, joining another group and then potentially pivoting and all of that. Jamey, you want to add something?
Jax just dropped a truth bomb. It's fact.
That's it.
It is.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And sometimes you do, it can be a little frustrating, but sometimes you have to play the medium game or the long game on this one.
Yeah.
But as we started with, learning cloud skills is never a bad move for your career. Mm-hmm. No matter whatever your destination is, it's never a bad move.
Right. Right. So Andrew says Terraform is general IOC language. Infrastructure is code. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so we support Terraform. A lot of times for us, the customer asks for Terraform because they want to Terraform is supposed to work with Azure and Google. And so they ask it for us. And, as always, when the customer asks, we say, yes, ma'am.
You deliver. Right. So tell me, is AI involved in any of what you all have happening?
It is in the peripheral. So there are other teams that are much deeper into AI. We have some of it, and I'll give some zero trust capability have AI components. One of the things there is a person or an entity's behavior odd. Well, or unusual, out of the ordinary. That's an AI type question. It's involved there on the cybersecurity zero trust. There's a lot of interest in our customer and in many other customers, and probably in the commercial side as well, to say, hey, we have just a flood of documents and text and things like that. Help me pull out things that are relevant or that are important. Or,
right.
Human attention is the most precious resource. Help me spend it wisely. That's an AI, natural language processing question that we have. Those are really the big areas. Otherwise, other organizations in the government look at images. That's not our ball of wax, but it is for other ones. So I would say natural language processing to say, hey, people's attention is the most precious resource. Help people only pay attention to things that are probably important. That's an AI question. And then there's AI and zero trust as well.
People's attention is the most precious resource. That is a quote. So it is so true. It is so it is beyond true.
Yeah.
So Jack says spot on, cloud skills are a plus. Scott Dickinson has a great point. Hey, Scott Dickinson. Or you can apply for a lower paying government job. They sponsor the clearance. Then you get the clearance. You can apply for other jobs that require a clearance. Not all government jobs require a clearance, but usually the ones in the DoD or intelligence community do. So more, sideways ways in. So you get the lower paying job for a little bit, get the clearance while you're in there, and then you can pivot and jump over to Jamey's team, because Jamey said he and his team aren't going anywhere. They're going to be around for a very long time.
Yeah, we're building for the long term.
Chris Folon, zero trust buzzword is definitely something people should dig into and figure out what they are really doing with their quote zero trust features. So more great comments from our viewers and listeners. Always good stuff on here. Go ahead, Jamey.
I appreciate the involvement, or sort of people are clearly leaning forward and investing. This is a hot topic, and If you can't tell, me and every team member, we geek out over this stuff too. So this is what
Yes.
we do.
Yes, this is definitely the place where, folks will have those conversations and go back and forth around this. So another great question, great information overall. Moving forward and talking to the recruiters, how long typically will the AWS loops be?
So good question. This is probably borderline into, you might want to check on Google on this. Renee Taylor knows, but an Amazon loop is typically 5 sessions, 5-hour-long sessions in one day, and there's some prep work ahead of that. It can take a bit to start the process, but Amazon, we move fast when we're fully engaged. So my recommendation on this one is if you're interested, apply to a specific job. Renee Taylor will help guide through the process, but it can be frequently a wait, sprint. So get yourself ready and don't be surprised that when it moves, we hustle. And from my side as a hiring manager, once we have a great candidate and we've said, hey, there's a match between our needs and your skills and professional ambition, I want to move fast because my team has needs. There's things we want to do. And once that match is made, we want to go as fast as we can. So it is common to feel slow and then all of a sudden a bit of a sprint.
So I'm going to put Renee's info back up there. Let's see. Oh, Renee answered Frank. Great question. Typically, the interview process takes about 3 to 5 weeks from start to finish. As Jamey mentioned, the final interview is 5 separate loops, but at the end of the day, we go at your pace.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. I'll +1 to Renee's on that one. If you are information, we've had people, everything from, they're interested and they're a match, but they want to wait on their current company until they get either a bonus or a this or a that. And we're accommodating it. Again, it's part of just finding that great fit.
So Chris wants to know, what types of roles are you hiring for on your team? Let's get some new hires. I'm also on them. Let's get you some new hires. Well, Chris, that's why we're here. Chris wants in, Jamey. What do we?
Well, we said those are cybersecurity, database experts, containerization and Kubernetes experts, and the CI/CD and stuff. We got openings for all.
Yep. And I posted one of these before. You can also reach out to Jamey directly. Absolutely. Well, one thing I love, I reached out to Jamey and I said, hey, would you be interested in, we have this HOTJOBS series. We're starting to kick this thing. And he was like, yep, let's go. It was immediate. And then shared with him a resume of someone that I was, chatting with, and immediate. So reach out to Renee, reach out to Jamey directly. He's super responsive. And we'll let you know point blank, like the person who I shared with him, that person wasn't the right fit for one role, and he sent another role and said, okay, they can't fit this, but they could be a fit for that. Have them apply to this or have them reach out. So very, very much, very responsive. And Jamey, I appreciate you for coming on here, because so many people, as I was sharing, are out of work right now or in transitions. And, it kind of breaks my heart that there's so much movement in the space, but I know everything happens for a reason. Everyone's supposed to land where they're supposed to land. And so Renee is putting some of the roles up, but all of these will be in the show notes, folks. So when this ends, the notes will have all of the links, and then also Jamey's LinkedIn, Renee's LinkedIn profile, so you can reach out to them directly. So more questions. Jamey, is your team structured to be in the office Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week, or is it hybrid? Great question.
So this is a great question I want to put out, because we're actually a lot different than other large system integrators that you might have been through. And I say, we don't really have a typical day, but I'll say every week we have includes 3 things. Some on the customer site, and that can be a customer meeting, a customer demonstration, an explanation, requirements gathering, but there'll be some time on the customer site that typically is in a crude environment, but not always. Sometime in an AWS building. So we're on National Business Parkway, but there's reasons to collaborate with the teammates to do, we're a big company. We have things that you have to require training and stuff. So every week there'll be some need to be at the AWS building. And then there'll be some work from another site, which is to say telework. And that can be really from anywhere. All three of those. Now, the ratio changes from project to project, but this is a hard foot stomper on this one. No member of my team is on the customer site in a skiff 40 hours. Zero, not one. Not our plan. That's not our business model. You can't learn at the pace we need to learn without having. So some on the customer site, some in an AWS facility, and some teleworking. That's what every week has. And the ratios change from piece to piece.
Right. So it moves, it changes, and they want to make sure they
all three of those are there.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. So Jamey, we're winding down. We're at the last couple minutes, right? Can you believe it's been a full hour? We're at the last couple minutes. I'm going to give you the floor, have you, pitch anything else that you may want to say, want to add before we wrap up, because we have about another minute and a half or so. So go for it.
One, our roles are, we're supporting the intelligence community and the great mission we have. And I really feel like in my heart of hearts, we're giving more mission capability by going to the cloud. And that means we use commercial tools, commercial skills, and we hire people who have commercial relevance to do this. This is a really exciting time where you can both have the clearance and the neat pieces of that and get commercial relevant skills for, as we said before, whatever direction your career might progress, these skills are there. That's really what's unique to us. It means we move faster than other intelligence communities. You're expected to learn more, but it also means you're no longer in a bubble. These are the same services that they use all over the place. And that's what you'll be learning. That's the pace you'll be working at. And, we're a high speed, low drag, futures are bright, you got to wear shades team. But, it gets us up and it gets us motivated.
I love that. You got to wear shades kind of team. Wear shades, eat crafts.
That's right.
Where do I sign up? Where do I sign up? Wear shades, eat crafts. Great episode. Jack says, glad I was able to catch some of the show. Me too. So excited that so many of you have come on and asked great questions. As always, the security peeps come, with all of the questions, very interested. Like I shared, so many people are out of opportunities. So I'm glad we were able to provide this. Jamey, thank you so much for being such an awesome resource and being able to share your roles, your opportunities, your background, and what people could potentially look forward to if they were to join your team. So very, very excited to do this, excited to potentially do it again, and glad to have you here. It's go ahead, Jamey.
Thank you, Renee. It's always a pleasure working with you. And as I said, there's a colleague of mine, Gabe Alix. Basically, I'll put you in touch, and he has some more pure cybersecurity jobs, and he's also more opportunities in Virginia.
Absolutely. I'll reach out to him soon. And folks, we are going to wrap up right now. We are at the 11 o'clock hour on Eastern time. And so I want to give everybody back their time. And thank you so much for being here, for being part of our Breaking Cybersecurity Hot Jobs series. We are going to continue to have these and get more of you all into awesome roles this year. So bye-bye, everybody.